Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Charles here with d2apdesigns.com, and I'm bringing you another tutorial. I want to show you guys how to create kind of some abstract looking art inside of Cinema 4D and After Effects, and you can also use Photoshop. So real quick, I'll show you what we're going to be learning to make. This kind of cool abstract object right here. It's nothing overly complicated. It shouldn't take that long, but it looks really cool. And before we go any further, I really quickly want to apologize if you hear any squeaking. For some reason, I have the squeakiest office chair in existence. So if you hear any squeaking, I apologize. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So real quick, I'm going to go ahead and put this into a 1920 by 1080. And I'll go to anti-aliasing, turn that to best, and that's all we'll do for now. Let's go ahead and grab out a platonic, and I'm going to change this to Icasa, up the segments, and then I'm going to go ahead and make it editable. I'm going to come here, I'm going to go down to Displacer. I'm going to go ahead and drag the displacer into the object. Now, as you can see, nothing's happening with this, so you have to go to Shading, and then for Shader, do Noise, and then I like to change this to, where is it at? Gaseous. I'm sorry, I don't know what took so long. I was thinking of a different word, so I was overlooking it. Anyway, so now you can see that we're actually starting to get some deformation going on. So we'll go ahead and mess with these settings till we find something that looks pretty good. And all this stuff is really up to your own personal taste. So I think I'm going to do something kind of like that. And then what I'll do is I'll go ahead, hit Control C and then V to duplicate it. Now I've created two, and I'm just going to go ahead and move it some sort of direction. Something like that, and then I'll go ahead and adjust this. We might want to come in here and just change some of the scaling on this to get some different effects. You could also change these options as well and get some different effects. I kind of like the way that looks, though it's a little big. Let's go back to this displacer, adjust the strength and the height. Alright, so I'm going to change this again to something else until I'm able to find something. Okay, that might be more what I'm looking for. Alright, I'll go with that. So, next thing I would like to do is I'm going to go in here and find another platonic. I'm going to go ahead and change this to Isocasa, or Icosa, however you say that. I might be saying that totally wrong for all I know. We'll go ahead and make this editable as well. We'll grab out another displacer. And then, let's go ahead and add noise to that. We'll change it to gaseous. And we'll go ahead and mess with these settings a little bit. Okay, I want to make this a little larger. It's a little bit small right now. So maybe something like that. Now what I want to do is I want to come in here and grab out an atom array. Go ahead and drag that in. As you can see, that looks a little odd right now. I want it to look more how this looks. So we'll have to go back and modify this some more. Because right now it looks nothing like that. Let's just change this to like 500 and see. Okay. So maybe something like that will work. And then let's just go ahead and change the sphere radius to like 3 and then cylinder radius to 1. Something like that looks a little better. I'll up that to 4. Okay. So that's like that. I'm going to up the subdivisions, make everything a little smoother. Now, of course, you guys will probably want to play with this some more and kind of perfect it and get it how you want. But for right now, I would say this is decent. The other thing you do is rather than grabbing out a new platonic and going and messing with it a bunch, you could just delete it, take one of these, duplicate it, and then go ahead and grab out your atom array, drag it in there, and then you'll have something that kind of traces the outline of it, which can look cool depending on what you're doing. So we'll drop that to 1, we'll put that to 4, up the subdivisions, and then we'll adjust this from here. See? So you can kind of scale that up and adjust some of this stuff. And then you get something that kind of fits around the one object. So you have different options. I think we'll go ahead and stick with what we have here for right now. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go here, grab out a sky. Now I would suggest an HDRI image of some sort. If you don't have them, you can find them online for free. So probably just open up Google, search for some free HDRI images, and put them in here. Alright, so we have our HDRI here. I went ahead and just paused the recording so you guys didn't have to watch me dig through files and find the HDRI. But we have it here. This is from Video Copilot, actually, from their Element 3D. So that's what I'm going to use for this. And then we're going to want to create some materials. So we'll go ahead and create kind of a little bit of an offset white. And then let's add a luminance to it and turn that down to probably around 50. Specular, I'll set that to metal, turn up the width a little bit. And then we'll go to reflection. Go ahead and turn that down quite a bit. I'm going to go ahead and turn up blur. And we'll put that on our atom array. And then I'll just try and create a quick kind of metallic looking texture. Let's see, turn up the blur, add a Fresnel. I'd darken this a little bit more. And then I want to add a little bit of texture. I don't want much, so I'm just going to do a little bit of noise. Maybe something like that will work. I'm going to scale that up a little bit, and then I'll turn it down to about 10-ish. And we'll go ahead and add that to our other objects, and we'll see how that looks. Okay. So not the best currently. So I'm going to go ahead and go in here. I'm going to turn on ambient occlusion, and I'm going to turn on global illumination. I'm just going to turn this down to low in preview for now. And the other thing I'm going to do is add in, I'm going to use an area light. going to make this a slightly orange color, and we're going to go ahead and turn on shadow maps. Okay, so the texturing is not great, so I want to go ahead and mess with that a little bit more. I'm going to scale the texturing down quite a bit, and I think I'm going to change it to something else. Something probably more like that. I'm also going to turn this reflection down a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and change this. I thought that looked a little too much. We'll turn this up. Go ahead and go to the sky, right click on it, Cinema 4D tags, compositing, and I'm going to turn scene by camera off. We'll see how this looks real quick. But already just those little tweaks made this look quite a bit better. Real quick, before we jump over to After Effects and stuff, I just wanted to say that I'm going to save this as a PNG. I'm going to turn it to 16-bit. I'm going to turn on alpha channel. Anti-aliasing, I'm going to turn it up to 2 and 4x4. Ambient occlusion, I'm going to leave default. For global illumination, I'm going to go ahead and turn on IR plus QMC still image. And then I'm going to turn this up to medium. And that is it. You guys may also want to turn on depth of field. If you guys want to do that, go to your camera, go to physical, or details rather. And these are going to be your depth of field. So let's go ahead and look at that real quick. So the way this is going to work is this middle part right here, that's what will be in focus. So if you just want this little bit of your object in focus, put it right there. And then from basically here beyond, everything's going to be blurred out. And from back here to back here, everything's going to be blurred out. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust these a little bit. If you want to render your object with depth of field on, go ahead and uncheck that. Go to multipass, right click on it, do depth, and then you'll see this here when you go to save it. So you just have to save a version of it, or not a version, but what you save here will be the image, and then what you save here will be the depth pass. So that's what you'll use inside of After Effects to give it some depth of field. So I'm going to go ahead and get everything rendered out, and then I'll see you guys in After Effects and Photoshop. Alright, so now we are in Photoshop. This is from the original render that I did that wasn't for the tutorial. I just wanted you guys to see it real quick. So we're going to go ahead and kind of create this background with some particle looking effects. And that's going to be pretty much it, and then we'll jump into After Effects. So I'll go ahead and start something new here. We'll do, okay, that is, need to adjust that. Let's drop this to 1400. Okay, that's a little better. Of course, we rendered widescreen, so we may as well just do it in what we rendered it as. So 1920 by 1080. There we go. Okay, so we'll go ahead and just close this. All right, so let's go ahead and grab this out. Now, what you can do is go on Google and just search for like dust, and you'll get images like this. You can also just do your own custom dust particles by using the brush tool and just turning it up and adjusting the hardness. And you can just do this. I should turn that to white. You just do stuff like this, and then turn down the opacity, and then go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian, and as you can see, it blurs it out and gives you, kind of a dusty look. Or you can just kind of do what I'm doing and just grab an image off the internet. Simple enough. But before we jump into that, we should probably do the background. So if you'll notice on this one, I did kind of a darkish purple to a light color. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's set this up so that it's, well, we'll do a dark color here, like that. And then we'll set something up that's a little bit lighter. Let's just see how that looks for right now. I don't think that's going to look quite right. I also want that flipped. I don't want it looking that way. That's not terrible. It's also a little bit odd due to the fact that it's so wide. So maybe we should shrink this down. We'll turn the width down to like, oh, I don't know, 1200. See how that looks. Adjust it some more. Let's make the height 1100 and we'll make the width 900. Okay, that's a little better. We'll go ahead and get this more centered looking, like that. So as you can see, I definitely need to darken things up a little bit. I'll probably leave this color about how it is now. And just go ahead and darken this purple up. Probably to something more like that. We'll see how that looks. Okay, that's not too bad. And you just kind of play with it till you get it how you like it. And then we can start adding in this dust here. We can do kind of a soft light or a screen like that. Turn down the opacity. And then you can go ahead and add a mask to it and then just kind of erase any things that you don't want. So like, I don't want a ridiculous amount of really large particles, so I'll just come in here and just kind of remove some of the larger looking ones. I'm going to turn down the opacity a little bit more as well. So that looks pretty decent. I personally would come in here and do some of my own custom dust particles of various sizes. Kind of like this. And then I would just come up here, as I said before, Gaussian blur them out a little bit. And then go ahead and turn down the opacity. And that would probably create another layer. Do that again and just get it how I want it. And then what we can do from here, if we want to adjust this a little bit more, like I want to darken this out a little bit more. So I'll come over here to the burn tool. I can go ahead and darken it up that way. Or the other option, which I prefer, is you can grab the brush tool, just turn this up. Needs to be a little, yeah, that's better. And then we can just come around the edges like this. And then we can go ahead and hit soft light or overlay. There's different ones you can use. And then just kind of turn down the opacity a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and increase the size of this a little bit. So there's that. I'm going to go ahead and adjust this a little bit more. Okay, so that's done. Now what we need to do is go ahead and just take this into After Effects. So I will see you over there next. Alright guys, well as you can see we're now in After Effects. I have the background set up along with my PNG and the depth pass we did. If you want to know what that looks like, that's what it looks like. So yeah, it's pretty ugly, but it has a purpose. As you can see, I'm already set up over here to grab out my camera lens blur, which is the first thing I'm going to do. So go ahead and drag that out, put it on the PNG layer. As you can see, everything is now blurred out. So what we're going to do with our depth layer is just turn it off, which I already have mine off, and then go to blur map and change it to depth. Now, as you can see, it blurs out certain parts of the image while leaving others perfectly in focus. So as you can see from this, like certain areas in here, like you can adjust it so that the lighter areas are blurred or the darker areas are blurred and stuff like that. So you can also come in here and do blur focal distance and adjust that. And as you can see, now the front end is becoming blurred, whereas the rear end is not. It's in focus. And then we can adjust it back so that the back is blurred, which is personally how I want it. So I'm going to go ahead and drop the blur down to 4. And then let's just, you can also do invert. So whatever it's at right now, it'll invert it. So I'm just going to go ahead and mess around with some of these settings. I do want you guys to know real quick, if you don't have After Effects, pretty much everything I'm doing you can do in Photoshop. I just prefer using After Effects for it. I just think it's a little easier. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to go to After Effects, and I'm going to go to Magic Bullet and load up looks. Now, you don't have to have Magic Bullet looks. You don't. You can use a lot of the different things in here, color correction and stuff like that, to get some really good looking effects. Looks, I think, just makes things way easier. They have some really customizable stuff, and it's just really easy to get something that looks really good. What I do need to do, however, instead of just putting on that, I need to go ahead and go to Layer, New, Adjustment Layer, and go ahead and put it on this. That way, Magic Bullet is putting it on everything and not just the PNG image. So Magic Bullet looks, edit, and now we can just come in here and play around. They have a lot of like really good looking defaults. If you just want to do something quick, you can throw a default on it, or throw a default on it and adjust it. You can do that too. You have a lot of options, so I like that pretty well. I'll go ahead and put that on it, and then I'll come over to Tools, go ahead and close that. Drag that out, and let's go ahead and add some edge softness. And I'll throw some flares on and see if we can get something decent looking out of that. So this will blur things a little bit more, of course. Excuse me. Turn up the quality on that a bit. And I don't want anything crazy blurred out. Probably just leave it around there. I don't know that this will look very good. Maybe just something subtle. Yeah, I think that looks decent. You know, I definitely don't want to overdo the flares, and it's easy to overdo them. I just want something kind of subtle. So maybe just that. And then again, this is another effect that looks decent, but it needs to be subtle. So go ahead and adjust this stuff here. I think that'll do it. And so just like that, I think we're pretty well done. And of course, you can go in and mess with it any way you want, adjust it however you want. I, of course, went ahead and added text that said obfuscate on mine, because it's kind of like an abstract image. Obfuscate means to render unclear, obscure, and that's kind of what this is, just kind of abstract, not really sure what it is, but it looks cool. So anyway, I hope this tutorial helped you guys. Hope you got something out of it. If you have any suggestions or have any questions, please feel free to shoot me a message, leave a comment, anything you want, and I'll try and get back to you. If you have suggestions for future tutorials, again, shoot me a message, leave a comment, and I'll see what I can do. Thanks, guys. I'm out of here. Peace.